Hey, everybody. Welcome into episode number 20 of Playing with House Money present the Soccer Gambling Cognoscenti. I am your boy Ice here on my own today, but we are going live during Friday Club. We've got 5 or 6 games on at the moment, some bets underway. And we're going to talk through this weekend's action and have a watch of some of those games. So if anything comes up, let me know. Let's dive into it. It was a decent weekend last week for everyone. We picked a couple of great winners. Hopefully we got more of the same this week coming along. But like I said, Friday Club, we picked Lazio. Lazio did their job. They're 20 minutes in. They're 2-1 up. So they've scored their 2 goals. Fantastic start from them. Means I'm not sweating that. That's always helpful. But yeah, we've got a couple of games that have just kicked off. Big game in the Championship. Leicester playing away at Plymouth. They need the 3 points, but we've said this. We've stayed away from that game predominantly today. Just because on a Friday, who knows what's happening, and we've been burnt by Leicester, Leeds, and Ipswich recently. Like, the Championship was great to us December, January, and February, and it's kind of tailed off a lot. But yeah, these games should have goals. Leicester need the 3 points. They can't afford to drop any more points. I wouldn't envisage any of the other teams continuing to drop points. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, they've just kicked off. We've got Metz v Lens in France and Betis versus Celta Vigo over in Spain. All of those are just underway inside the first 10 minutes. And we've got Augsburg against Union Berlin over in the Bundesliga is our Friday play there. We've got all of those on the go. So I'll be checking in on those as we dive through. But we're also going to dive into some best bets for this weekend's action as well. What we've got going on there, we've got some nice early games on Saturday morning. That we've got some action in Newcastle against Tottenham. So we know I always love to fade Tottenham. Lot to play for at the top of the Premier League. Now, not just Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal in the fight for the title. You do have that 4th place is up for grabs between Tottenham and Aston Villa. Tottenham host Newcastle, who are in 8th, and Villa do go to Arsenal. So it's a big weekend for Tottenham. They've got the game in hand anyway, on the same points as Villa. Tottenham are asking for a big, favour from their North London rivals, and obviously, in a way, they want to hope that Arsenal win and beat Villa. But also, I'm very sure that Tottenham fans don't want Arsenal to win the league. So they'll want Arsenal to win this game, but then to drop points in one of their last 6 to let Liverpool or City take them over. But I'm not going to stay away from what we've done for so many years in terms of big games like this. When there's stuff on the line, Tottenham might have turned a corner, but I'm not gonna play that. I'm playing Newcastle team total over 1.5. You would imagine there'll probably be goals in this game. Tottenham are obviously good enough and on good enough form to score and expect to win this game. But yeah, I'm not going to play Tottenham. Their away form has been, actually they had the game against Villa, where obviously there was, that was probably the best game they've played this season. And then, Tottenham down to, Villa went down to 10 men. They were already 2-0 down at that point. So that was probably Tottenham's best game. But that aside, They haven't won any of their last 5 away games in the Premier League. They got battered away at Fulham in another London derby. They drew away at West Ham. We know how on and off West Ham have been. They've drawn away at Everton. So Tottenham are dropping points all over the show. Newcastle also, for what it's worth, trying to get 6th place, just in case Man City win the Champions League again. And they're only 2 points behind Manchester United. West Ham sandwiched between the two of them. So Newcastle also have something to play for here. So we're siding with the Newcastle team at home to score twice. They put 4 past West Ham, same West Ham team that Tottenham drew with. They put 3 past Wolves. They put 2 against Bournemouth, 4 against Luton. The only game in the last 5 they haven't scored twice was home against Everton. Last time out, they drew 1-1. But they had by far the better chances. They should have probably scored twice, if not 3 times in that game. So Tottenham away, we're fading Tottenham. They're on the list. They're on the list of one of the teams that we always fade. So Newcastle at home. It's a 7:30 Eastern time kickoff, so it's early doors. Same time kickoff as Leeds versus Blackburn in the Championship. And I know I mentioned we've got Leicester playing today. Leicester playing right now. Leeds have also been one to, they drew against Sunderland 0-0, but they're great. At home is when they have to pick up their points. And Blackburn just got thumped midweek by Bristol City. Middle of the table, Bristol City as well. Bristol City have nothing to play for. They're in 12th place. And they scored 5 to Blackburn. So expecting Leeds to come out and score twice, I might get burnt again for the second or third time with Leeds, but I can't not take them at home against this Blackburn side. I like betting on Blackburn to score, but I just can't see that Leeds give up or don't score 2 in that game. So Newcastle, Leeds, and then we get another kind of top of the table clash over in Spain, which is the 8 a.m. game on Saturday morning. And that's Atletico Madrid against Girona. And I've loved backing Girona all season. They've had a fantastic season. The wheels are kind of falling off at the back end of the season. Obviously, high stakes things to play for. They gave up second place to Barcelona recently. They're only 2 points behind them, but I do think at this point they've lost 2 of their last 5. They've lost that consistency that saw them, challenging and all the way at the top. So Atletico still have this 4th place champion. They've got to juggle Champions League. They played midweek, obviously, against Dortmund. They've got this game. They're 7 points behind Girona, and I don't think they're going to catch them. But they need to come forth to give themselves Champions League football again next year. Bilbao are only 2 points behind them. So if Atletico Madrid's focus slips from La Liga and they're focused too heavily on this return leg against Dortmund in a couple of weeks' time, then all of a sudden they might find themselves down in 5th place and they're not qualifying next season. So Simeone's got to work out what he's doing. I do think at home, Atletico come out strong. I did look at this for Atletico Madrid first half goals. I think they have to go hard and they have to go early in this game. Put it to bed early, then you can rest Griezmann, Morata, and your top players. So I like the first half goal for Atletico, but to keep things consistent, I'm keeping the home teams, Newcastle, Leeds, and Atletico, hopefully give us something, waking cash, the guys call it in the Discord, something to wake up to that cashes us by 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Those three teams all to score twice, plus 322 for those 6 goals. All 3 of those games could have goals on both sides. Tottenham, obviously, we talked about. Every championship game has the potential for both teams to score. And Girona, like we said, they have something to play for as well. I just think if that game does have both teams to score, it finishes 2-1 to Atletico, maybe 3-1. I think Atletico go out to prove a point here, get it done early, like you said, and then we move on. And then, everything else Saturday morning, all of the Bundesliga stuff, all of the Championship, English Premier League stuff will be in the Discord. Find us at PW_House Money. Follow me at Iceman _1013 on Twitter. Jump in the Discord. That's where you're going to get all the Bundesliga plays. That's where you're going to get all of the Championship plays on Saturday morning with the huge slate. And then Saturday afternoon, we do get the MLS. As everyone knows, I love diving into this. Last week on the show, we had Portland. Portland were my kind of crazy Sunday ladder. They cashed for us. They drew 3-3. So they cashed plus 200 to score twice, plus 700 to score 3. I might jump back into them again this week. They play at home. And we know I've talked about this for years about the home teams in the MLS. But they're the early game. They're the 4:45 kickoff Saturday afternoon against LAFC. And LAFC are great, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of LAFC, hoping that they sign Olivier Giroud. But again, the home-away difference. LAFC's away form. So far this season, they've played 3, lost 3. Conceded twice to Minnesota, 3 times to Real Salt Lake, 3 times to Colorado. For Portland to score twice, they've scored 7 goals in their 3 home games. The only home game they didn't score twice was against Philadelphia. But again, they scored in that game. They had the chances. They were the much better team in that game. They lost that game 3-1, and that didn't reflect the way the game went. They had 70% possession. They had 20 shots on goal, only scored the 1. So, again, we're getting huge plus money on Portland, plus 142 for Portland to score 2 goals, plus 500 for them to score 3. Going to play those as straights. Might sprinkle the 2 goals into the parlay just to be a degenerate. But we'll play it straight as well because I think that value is absolutely huge. And then moving on, we've got 4 home teams. And again, these are teams that I don't normally pick. But a lot of the bigger sides are playing away this week. I mentioned LAFC, they're playing away. Cincinnati are playing away. Columbus Crew playing away. Inter Miami playing away. Galaxy playing away. And we're actually going to fade 2 of those teams today with what we talk about. One of the 2 home teams in the 7:30 slate. This is not necessary. This is more. I'm not betting on the home teams. I'm not saying I like the home teams. I'm fading the away teams. First one is Charlotte versus Toronto. Charlotte are sneaky great value normally to score a goal. I don't know what they've ever done to Vegas, to be completely honest. But last season they were great value to score 1. We were getting basically plus money every week for them to score twice. It's not quite that good this week because they're playing against Toronto. But again, their home form is pretty solid. They actually, they've played 2 of the teams that we mentioned. They've played Columbus Crew. They've played Cincinnati at home. And they didn't lose either of those games. The Columbus game was slightly, you can't really count that. Columbus had a player sent off in the first half. Charlotte missed a penalty, but still scored twice in the second half. But they drew 1-1 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati were very lucky to get the draw in that game, scored in injury time. But again, we've spoken about Cincinnati before. They just haven't really started the season as we expected. They lost, obviously, Vasquez to Monterrey, and they haven't really replaced him with anyone. Acosta can't do it all. But this is, like I said, Charlotte have got fairly decent home form. Toronto are just terrible away. Conceded 4 goals away against Vancouver, twice away against New York City FC. And you know how I don't like the New York City MLS teams. So Toronto away, this is a fade Toronto bet. Taking Charlotte to score twice. The other one is kind of similar. It's DC United at home to Orlando. DC lost at home to Miami. They beat the New England Revolution. They beat Montreal. It's not really a great resume. Montreal is not great. On the flip side, though, Orlando similarly have been absolutely terrible away from home. They went to Miami and got battered first game of the season. Didn't really do anything at all. They then got beat 2-0 by Atlanta, which again isn't the worst thing in the world. Atlanta are a very good side, but that was, you know, again Orlando away. Just they don't travel very well, and DC are plus money to score 2 goals. So again, this is a fade the away team in the MLS, which, you know, like I said, I do fairly often. But they're the 2 early games. You have the New York City FC and New York Red Bulls both playing again at home, staying away from both of those 2 games. Although saying that, both of them probably scored twice in the first half. So Parlay King you can play that one for free on me. And then the second 2 games, 2 of the teams we've already mentioned. It's again sounds similar. Fade into Miami every single game, twice on Sundays, 3 times when they play away. And they are going away to Sporting Kansas City. I don't even know if this team, to be perfectly honest with you, have what it takes to put what happened in midweek in Mexico behind them and come out and prove a point. It just baffled me exactly what happened during the week. They went into Monterrey and got absolutely hammered. They scored right at the end. The game was dead and buried by the time they got 1 back. But they really didn't look like scoring, in all honesty. And that was with the full complement of ex-Barcelona players. Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba, they all played. And they still did nothing. So, yeah, I mean, do I think they'll probably score twice? Yeah, absolutely. But I also think they'll concede twice, and you get much better value on Sporting Kansas City to score twice than you do Miami. Sporting Kansas have scored 2 goals in their last 3 home games. They scored twice against Galaxy, 3 times against the Timbers last Sunday. That was the 3-3 game I mentioned. And yeah, Miami away. I mean, I don't know what else you need to know at this point. If you don't listen to me about fading Miami, then I can't help you. 3 against Monterrey in midweek, 4 against Red Bulls, their last away league game. If you concede in 4 goals against New York Red Bulls, then you have a problem. Let me put it that way. So yeah, Sporting Kansas City, get them in there. And then the other one where there is going to be absolutely goals everywhere, I hope, is one of the last games of the day. It's Vancouver at home to LA Galaxy. This game has 5 goals in it. All of Galaxy games have 5 or 6 goals in it. Feel like I say that every week. Or at least they have the potential to. Certainly when they go away from home. They have a great strike force. They have a great attack. And they can score as many goals as they want. But again, they are not great defensively. 2 away to Nashville, 2 away to Kansas City, 2 away to LAFC. So they concede in 2 goals a game on average away from home. Vancouver scoring at home. Again, we get great value on this because they're not one of the top teams. And that 4-fold, you got Charlotte, DC United, Sporting Kansas, and Vancouver. They're not 4 of the, they're not the sexiest teams you can pick in the MLS, but value-wise, for 8 goals plus 10.27, yeah, I mean, I think that's huge value. If you include Portland for 2, that takes you to plus 26.29 for 10 goals for home teams. 5 home teams to score twice. In this league, it's about picking the right home teams because we know the home teams are going to do it. And yeah, I mean, I think that's just huge value, and it's dumb if I don't play it. So yeah, we'll play in that one, and we'll have certainly some goal scorers in the Discord. if you want any of those. So jump in. And hey, what's been happening? We've got some goals. Lazio doing their job. 3-1 up at half time. Luis Alberto with the assist. That's one in the score and assist parlay that we put together in the Discord. So that's that one done and dusted. You've got Parlay King. Hey, you'll be happy to know Sporting Lisbon 2-0 up after 10 minutes, obviously. That was pretty obvious. Yeah, Leicester, look at that. Leicester 1-0 down. All the possession, all the shots. Plymouth's first shot of the game, and they're 1-0 up. And then we have Lens up 1-0 against Metz. So, yeah, Lazio have done their job. They've scored their 3 goals in the first half. Lens up 1-0. Leicester City. What did I say? Leicester City will be the one. Again, championship. They don't want to win it. It's absolutely insane. Can't get my head around what is going on with these championship teams. Sunday. We have some huge games on Sunday, and we also have a couple of Italian games. And I do this every week. DJ Prue always tells me I'm an idiot for going back to Syria. But Napoli, this is the real early game. This is the 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Sunday morning. They're at home to Frosinone. We talked about them before. Napoli are currently, because Lazio, I would assume, are going to win this game, up 3-1 at halftime. Napoli have dropped to 8th. Lazio are in 7th. Napoli, Lazio, and Atalanta are going for this 6th place. Atalanta have a huge amount. No, they've just beat Liverpool 3-0 in the Europa League. They can see themselves going all the way in that competition. They're distracted. Lazio put the pressure on. Napoli need to win this game to jump back up into 6th place. Frosinone also, they're in 18th place. They're battling for survival. They are 1 point away from safety. So this game is huge for them. Napoli, we know this season, are not the Napoli of old, not the Napoli of last season. So there could be, they could concede. I do like Napoli to score at least twice. I think Napoli win this game. I think they score a couple of goals. If it wasn't the 6:30 a.m. game, if it was the later game, I would probably play both teams to score and over 2.5. But I'm playing it a little bit safer because it's the early game, just taking the over 2.5 in that game. And then adding to it the second game in Italy, it's Sassuolo against AC Milan. Similar thing, Sassuolo, again, basically exactly the same as Frosinone. They are 2 points clear of safety. They're battling for that. So very much dependent on how the result goes. If Napoli get the win early, then Sassuolo go into this game knowing that a win will take them above Frosinone and give them more chance of survival. So huge game for them at home. Need to pick up points at home if you're going to stay in the league. But AC Milan are the form team in La Liga right now. Won their last 5 on the bounce. We know they lost in midweek in the Europa to Roma at home at the San Siro. But league games, if we just talk league games, they're unbeaten. They've won, like I said, 5 on the bounce. They beat Fiorentina away. They beat Lazio away. So this should, even if they put out their reserve team, even if they play Noah Okafor, Chukwueze, and they rest in Giroud, Leao, Pulisic, even if they rest those guys, this Milan team is good enough to score twice. Play the same thing, over 2.5 goals. I think Milan scores twice. Milan team goals is probably the safer bet. But I do also think Sassuolo have a lot to play for, and they probably get on the score sheet. So taking over 2.5 in that one, over 2.5 match goals, that is. And then the Premier League. Sunday is Sunday is a big day. Sunday is moving day. We say Saturday is moving day at the Masters weekend, but this day could be huge. You have Liverpool playing at home to Crystal Palace. We talked about the fact that they're coming off the back of this 3-0 loss to Atalanta. Jurgen Klopp is going to want to prove a point. He's going to want his team to go out and prove a point. They just dropped points away at Man United, and they shouldn't have done. They should have won that game. They should still be top of the Premier League. They're not. They've given the advantage back to Arsenal on goal difference. Liverpool have a point to prove. They want to close that goal difference. The goal difference gap is 9. This is Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have nothing to play for, really. They are at risk. They're not safe mathematically, but they're also 14th. They've also got Brentford, Everton, and Nottingham Forest below them that have had points deductions. So they're not. They'll still want to try and win, but I don't even think Palace winning this game is a consideration. Liverpool are going to want to come out and prove a point. They didn't do it against Liverpool. They didn't do it against Sheffield United when I thought they would. They were up 1-0 inside 20 minutes. And then they scored an own goal in the second half, and it took until the last 15 minutes for them to really kick on. But you can't deny Liverpool. Even if the game's 1-1 going into the last 10 minutes, they can score twice. We've seen that. They've scored the most amount of goals in injury time. So even if they've got 1 or 2, I've taken Liverpool team total over 2.5 because with Liverpool, same as kind of Man City, the value on them scoring twice is marginal. It's not valuable, even if you're putting it in a parlay. So I'm taking Liverpool to score 3 at home. Titles on the line. If they don't win this game, they can start to kiss goodbye to everything. Every competition is, they're not going to want that to happen. There is no way that Klopp is going to want to go out like that with the fact that they had 4. They were challenging for 4 titles, and then within the space of a couple of weeks, they're out of everything. So this is definitely one that they want to set the record straight, especially at Anfield in front of the home support. So Liverpool team total over 2.5. Add that to the Napoli and AC Milan games. And then we take the Arsenal v Villa game. I'm not going to, for a second, try and tell you that you should bet on Arsenal in this game. Even though I think they win. It's one of the trickiest games they have left. Because, like we said, Villa are still trying to fight for 4th place with Tottenham. But I think the one thing that I can tell you is there's going to be goals in this game. I don't think this is the kind of game that you're going into. You're getting 0-0. I know Villa have done that very well at home. Away from home, not so. The over 2.5 has hit in the last 10 head-to-heads at Highbury in the Emirates. Last 11, 12, 13. The last 13 head-to-heads in Arsenal, the over 2.5 has hit when Arsenal have been the home team. So I don't think that changes. Arsenal to score 2 again, not really the value in it. Both teams to score, yes, would go that way. Again, putting it in a parlay, not risking the both teams to score, settling for over 2.5 match goals. Add it in there. That takes us to 12 goals. Takes us on to the last game of the weekend that we're going to talk about. And I'm diving back into the MLS. It's Atlanta against Philadelphia Union. Same thing. I think you can see how we're going here. Over 2.5 goals. Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, I love betting on Atlanta, especially at home. They could score the 3 goals on their own. Philadelphia could score the 3 goals on their own. That's the last. But again, last leg of the parlay, not risking anything. Both these teams could score goals. Both these teams concede goals. Philly have scored 2 in every away game this season. Atlanta have scored 2+ in every home game this season. Over 2.5 match goals. Take your pick which one of them scores twice. Could be 2-2, could be 3-3, could be anything that game, but it's the last leg of the parlay. 15 goals. Napoli, AC Milan, Arsenal, Atlanta, all over 2.5 match goals. Liverpool over 2.5 team total, plus 940 for those 15 goals. If you want to degenerate it, put the both teams to score in there. You could play both teams to score in all 5 of those as a separate game, separate play. But yeah, plus 940 for 15 goals. I think it's not as good a value as the one we got for the MLS with the home team goals, but for just match goals, I think that's pretty decent. And again, I like all of those games for goals. And talking of goals, we have a couple more. We have Mets have equalised. And if you played the free play, Georgia's Mikatadze, I mentioned this guy 3 weeks ago on a show, and since I've mentioned it, this guy has been on an absolute tear, scoring for fun. Plus 240 he was to score, and yeah, he's got his goal, so cash that one. And who has scored for for Augsburg? Tsitsi. That has cashed, I believe, the play that I posted in the Discord. So let me see. Did I play that? Mikatadze and Philip Tietz, plus 920. Live cash. Get in there. Augsburg, we need a second goal from you. Betis and Celta Vigo, we need some goals from you. But that is what we like. Free play cash. Parlay King is in the chat asking me what on earth Leicester are doing. I do not know what Leicester are doing. I cannot tell you what Leicester are doing. I don't know. I don't really get that. They've gone. The problem with Leicester, they don't know what their optimum lineup is. I don't think they know who their best attacker is. Is it Jamie Vardy? Is it Patson Daka? Is it Kelenichi Iheanacho? I don't think they know. And they're playing they're rotating them around. Like Vardy played in midweek. He started, comes off after 70 minutes. Didn't get on the score sheet. Today they've started Daka. They've had 7 chances, six attempts, 65% possession. They've hit the target once. I don't know. They've got, Mavididi, Dewsbury Hall in there, but I just don't think they know their best attacker. They just kind of rotate in the 3 of them. Iheanacho, I love off the bench, but he can't do it for you every week. You can't rely on someone off the bench every week making the difference. And I think that's where there's just no consistency in who that forward player is going to be. They just need to pick who their striker is. And if he doesn't score for 2 weeks, fine, but you don't just drop him if you've picked him. Like if he's your striker, you stick with him. So I think that's where they're getting it. There's also, with the other 2 sides, with Ipswich especially, you have the element of these players have not necessarily been there and done it. They're not a young side, but they're also a side that haven't been in this type of position, certainly not to get back to the Premier League. Ipswich haven't been in the Premier League for a long, long time. Going by memory, I remember them being in the Premier League in the mid-90s. Whereas Leeds and Leicester have been both back there fairly recently. So they've kind of been there, done that. Like there's not really the excuse for these clubs. They've been through this before. Like these Leicester players, the expectation, like Jamie Vardy for Leicester was top goal, so he won the Premier League. There's nothing to say that him, being in there should be, telling these boys what's up. He should be being a leader in the dressing room, which I assume he is. But Leicester, with Leeds, you've got Bamford, been there. He played in the Premier League. Like it's nothing new to him. Ipswich don't have many of those players. Ipswich they were the underdog. They came from absolutely nowhere. And at one point, I thought they were going to just run away with it. But none of them seem to be doing the same thing. They're all struggling. because they're at the point now. They're all on the same points. They all have very similar goal difference, Leicester and Leeds especially. And yeah, I mean, if any one of them had won their last 2 games, then that would be it. It would be over. You would be saying that's it. You're promoted to the Premier League, but none of them have. Leeds lost and drew their last 2. Ipswich lost and drew their last 2. Leicester lost their last game. They're now losing this game. It's just, it's all you can put it down to is nerves. Even professional footballers getting paid thousands of dollars a week to go out and do what they are good at, they still get nervous. They still, one of those things. That's all I can put it down to. Like I said, Plymouth have nothing to really play for. They've had 1 shot in this game. 1 shot, and they scored. That sometimes is the way the game goes. It's the beauty of the game. Sometimes all you need is 1 shot. And if you don't take your chances, that's why I will always tell you, scoring a goal is the hardest thing in the game of soccer. Some people, like DJ Pruitt, don't believe me. They say that it's easy because you see the likes of Ronaldo, Messi making it look easy. But it's, you got teams out here, we see it all the time. We get screwed over all the time by teams that have 15 shots. You've got this new XG thing, tells you their expected goals, teams with 3-4 XG not scoring. And we're taking that we need them to score twice. So, yeah, I mean, Leicester have had their 6 chances, but their expected goals is only 0.2. That just tells me that the chances that they're creating are not clear-cut chances. They're just not have that creative force anymore. Like, they're running out of steam. The Championship as well is a long season, a long season. These teams have played, this is game 42, 43 of the season. Premier League season's only 38 games. Plus, obviously, you've got, yeah, I know. King, trust me, I know. It's a long season. That's another thing that you can give these players. Like, the Championship season starts early, play more midweek games than most of the Premier League teams, unless they're teams in Europe. But again, it's the same for every team. But again, those are the only things that I can put it down to say that why are these teams struggling now? Like, you go through the whole season, Leeds lost 6 games. Lost 6 games the entire season, and then you've not won in 3 in your last 5. Like, how? But it's also one of those that in any sport, like, momentum is huge. Once they've started to struggle, and they're all struggling, it's so difficult to get back out of that mindset and to switch it back around again. Especially in the position that they're in, 6 games to go. Win 5 out of your 6 games, and you go into the Premier League. You're now playing Premier League football. Every single player on every single one of those squads wants that. But yeah, they're just showing you how difficult it is to just get over the line in something like this. When we look and we see the likes of Man City and teams like that make it look easy. But these players are not. They're not that level, right? When you're looking at the tiers, these players are not getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds every week. They're getting paid 20,000. That's still a huge amount of money. Don't get me wrong. I take £20,000 a week to play football, and they're still getting paid to do it. But they're not like we look at the elite level, right? When you look at the the Bundesliga and you see what Bayer Leverkusen have done this season. You look at the best teams in France, the best teams in Italy, and you see like Real Madrid and how they do it, and that they're making it look easy now. they struggled mid-season, but now there's something on the line. They're gonna, they go out there and make it look easy. These players are not those elite level. So this is just showing you that there is, when the pressure is there, the pressure does tell. It's, that's all I can give you. Sporting Lisbon have just scored a third, by the way. I assume you took over 2.5 first half goals. Yeah, I'm just incredibly happy that not only have I got a free play cash, we finally cashed something in the Discord. John Boy, don't call it a comeback. We never went anywhere. We're always here. Hopefully you tailed it. We'll take a Friday club plus 900. We hope Augsburg keep going and score again. And then we'll just be waiting on Betis and Celta Vigo to actually do something. But yeah, hopefully you were able to take part in one of those free plays. I'll catch you guys again next week. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter. Like I said, at Iceman_1013, at PW_housemoney. Jump in the Discord if you're not already there. The links are in the bios. This is kicking off our week. Kicking off our weekend fantastically. Like I said, plus 920 cashed already. Only coming up to halftime in a couple of these games. So yeah, jump in. Let us know. If you got any questions, ask me on Twitter. And I will catch everybody next Friday.